This is Lisa Ann, and you're listening to the Lisa Ann Show on the TheStashed Media Network. And if you love that music, I finally got me some music. If you love it like I do, you need to check out Austin Mills. You can follow him on all social media at Austin Mills. You know, this is a little variety show, but it's more random than anything. I'm sure you saw the variety, and the first one being somewhat of an intervention, and the second one being somewhat of me just ranting and complaining. Although I know you found it valid and you agree with me that Draymond Green should have been offered more than $100,000 from Vivint. We don't have to get back that. I proved my point. I did the research. You liked it and you agreed by the time it was over. But, you know, normally I am in the driver's seat and I don't really have a passenger. I like to just roll solo and just be in my own thoughts. But once in a while, I decide to call someone in shotgun, and I did that today. So I brought you a guest and something for you to open your mind and listen to other than me. We'll be talking a little bit more about him before I bring him in, but I want to tell you something. If you love my voice, you can listen to it every week on the TheStashed Media Network. But if you hate my voice like I do, and it just grinds on you, just read my writing. You know, you can make a choice right now, because if you read my writing, you get to read it in your voice, and if you like your voice more than you like mine, I'm totally down with that. Every week I'm posting a topic on my timeline for you guys to chime in so you can feel involved. You can contribute. Share your thoughts. This week was bad habits. I didn't get as many as I would have hoped, but again, it was only a day, but I also didn't get solicited for sex or offered money for sex that often either, so I feel comfortable in the fact that I only got 15 emails and only 3 of them were creepy. I don't know what's happening. Am I losing my touch? I'm not welcoming more creepy emails. I'm thrilled that there were less creepy emails in this email account. So remember, it's the Lisa Ann Show at Gmail. I will be announcing the topic this week, and y'all can chime in. So remember, if you love podcasts, the TheStashed Media Network covers a plethora of categories. You can get some sports, some culture, some interviews, some me. You can get it all at thestashed.com. Don't forget to follow me on social media at The Real Lisa Ann. And at Facebook, it's TRLA Official. And if somebody invites you to be their friend on Facebook, I'm not that friendly on Facebook, so it's not me. I have never sent a friend request. I only have people following me. I'm not really even that familiar with Facebook because I hated it for so long. So I'm just going to be real with you. Because you know I'm always fighting imposters. That's because you guys are nice enough to tell me, hey, did you send a friend request? It's like, no. Why would I do that? So just take that as the gospel. That is the gospel. I do not request anything. I mean, I know you're there. We chat. I see you respond hateful things to my posts. I get it. I get your commentary. All right. Yes, I'm old, but fuck you. You're going to be old one day, too. All right, that was my little opening there. I hope you enjoyed it. You learned a lot. You learned that I have music. You learned that there's other podcasts at the TheStashed Media Network. You learned that you could read my writing in your own voice. You don't have to listen to this garbage, right? But if you like this and you like to open your mind, hopefully I can bring you into something new. And that brings me to our guest. Our guest today is Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon is a self-made, directed, produced, written. Everything about him is done himself, and it's one of the fascinating things I found out when I got to meet him for the first time last December, and now getting to know him for a good half of a year plus. I am seeing how hard he works and how committed he is, and if you haven't heard his music, now you're going to get to hear his voice, learn a little bit about him, and build that interest. So, Ponce, how are you today?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We have known each other now for 7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
And so you all know how we met. I was slinging my book, and I was on a Rude Jude show at the LA studio. And you were coming in to shoot Jude for a music video, right?
Yeah, I was coming in. We were shooting a clip for the No Favors video. I was late for it at that. I remember being late because I think that's why you were actually scheduled in. I think I was going to interview before you at that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I am ridiculously, as people know, early. So when I showed up 45 minutes early and was just like, I'll just chill over here with nice tea, I'm cool. And he's like, well, my guest that was supposed to be here isn't here yet, so do you want to just come in right now? I'm like, well, that's great, because I get out earlier and I can be even earlier to my next thing.
It was perfect, though, you know what I'm saying? Because I was waiting, you know what I'm saying? And when you came out and we actually spoke, it was dope how we met. And then to go from that into the next day, at the whole book ordeal, I was just like, it was good.
So I'll tell you, I told him I had a bookstore signing the next day at the Hustler store. It was my first bookstore signing, and I was really excited about it. And he actually said, that's great. I'll come by and say hi. And he meant it.
Yeah.
And he came by and said hi.
And it was dope. I liked it, man. Brought the cameraman out and everything.
Yeah, brought his cameraman out. We took some pictures, and it was a big rainstorm, which we all know doesn't happen often in California. So we had a moment where there wasn't anybody coming in or getting out of their car, and we got to sit and talk that day.
We talked for like an hour.
Yeah, we got to really sit and talk, get to know each other, and I was just intrigued. I was intrigued because I've met a lot of artists, you know. When I told Kaz from TheStashed about you and our relationship and talked to him about a couple of your videos I was watching, and he's like, you know, you're kind of a Renaissance woman, Lisa. And there's just so many things about you. I just don't know. And every time I talk to you, I learn something different. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm intrigued by people. So It doesn't necessarily matter what you do, right? But I was intrigued by you. And then I started to listen to your music and really enjoy it. And then I started, you know, talking about the events that you're doing and feeling the energy and then seeing your pictures from shows. I mean, it's such a great thing from a person on the sidelines to see some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it's like almost like you're there.
It's like you're there.
It feels, yeah.
You know, so since then, you've done quite a few shows. You've released more songs. First, let's start with where can everybody hear your music?
My website is poncedeleon.com. It's PONCEDELEIOUN. Everything's on there. It's from Vivo to SoundClick, YouTube. It's everywhere, but you can go back to poncedeleon.com. It's on there.
How old were you when you decided this is what I want to do?
I'm probably 20, 21, one of those. It was like my first year of college was like, it was 2021, my first year of college. That's when I really started pushing on like Facebook and stuff like that. And then it went from just MySpace and Facebook marketing into every social media that came out. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just worked.
And that was the perfect time for you, actually, because you're in college, which means you don't have a ton of extra money. So you have the time to be in front of your computer, just playing with all the tools that you have access to. And next thing you know,
I thought of it like that until you just said it.
But, you know, everything is relative
So
because
real.
I find that when a lot of people lose creativity when they get too financially comfortable in life.
Yeah.
Because you no longer need to create to survive, so you start to get into this blank space where you don't try new things. Whereas when you don't have as much resources and you don't have enough money, you're like, well, you know, I could get good at this. If I get good at this, not only do I fill time where I'm not out getting into trouble or spending money I don't have, I'm also possibly going to make money doing this.
Exactly.
And you did this all through college because you did graduate school.
Exactly. Yeah, I just graduated last year, so the whole time it was just.
Did you do events at your school?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I said it in one of these songs recently, and it was just like the same schools that I used to do these open mics for, the same schools that book me now. So it's dope that I get to go back to the same universities. I went to like 3 different universities throughout that time because I just transferred in and out. So it's like these same universities. I started off doing these like small little frat shows and these small little events. Now they book me back for them. So it's
that's dope. Exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely dope.
And you didn't quit school. You decided, I'm going to still go to school so I can do this properly. When I make big money, I'd like to learn how to manage it and not be a moron. Like, I don't want to just be tipping strippers. I learned that about you very quickly.
Yeah, I had to I feel like I was at one point in my life, because I dropped out, and I dropped out for a year. But it was like, it wasn't just like I just dropped out. Well, she didn't. I mean, honestly, I thought music was going to take off because it was like the first year I went to London. So I did that interview with Tim Westwood, and it just kind of like blew up for me. And it was just like
you tasted it.
Yo, it was just this.
You're like, it's so hot. That's right. I'm gonna start Bugatti shopping. You know,
it was crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, yeah, it's about to. You know what I mean? And
that's a little stroke to the ego, and that ego confuses your reality, and that's a very common thing that you learn about later in life.
Yeah, it really was, because I had to, I was out and I planned on moving and everything, but it just wasn't, if I was in California at the time, it probably would have been a completely different story.
Sure, but you were still in Virginia.
Exactly,
right.
So it was like facing the facts that I was still making movements and I was still making noise, but it was like,
reality set in.
Reality, yeah.
So you had to go back to working and going back to school.
Yeah, so I went back.
It's good that happened to you young, and you'll remember what that felt like, and you won't get so over the moon too quickly. You'll still stay realistic. So then you decided to go back to school. That was humbling.
Yeah, I went back, finished it up. It was crazy. I was thinking, originally I planned on moving to the UK. It was just crazy. I was
Why the UK?
Set on it. Because I kept going out to, when I kept going out there, I ended up going 5 or 6 different times, and it was after I hooked up with Tim Westwood, and he was just such a huge person to hook up with out there, and then for it to be independent U.S. artists, they show you so much love. It's just retarded.
I agree with you. They treat you like they're, you know, when you're in another country as an artist, they treat you like they want to show you the best of their country. They want you to have the best food.
Yeah.
They're so proud that you visited them. Like, we don't treat people the same way in America. Like, we don't, but I agree. It was great. And they take care of you. There's a translator. Well, you don't need one in the UK. But it's a great experience. And also, at the time, you were traveling from Virginia. So it was a lot shorter of a trip than if you decide to go there now from here.
Yeah, I was taking like a
5-hour flight, 6 hours.
6 hour flight. So here it's probably, it was like
10,
3 or 4.
10 to 11.
God.
10 to 11, yeah.
Yeah, I was taking 5 or 6. So it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It was dope though.
And the accent was probably sexy to you. And you got to admit, they're very stylish people.
I love everything about it. I'm big on, I love fashion, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I love fashion, I love style, I like the atmosphere, the way people are out there. It's a whole nother...
It's a whole other dimension.
It's a whole other dimension, yeah.
Okay, so how old were you when your dream was, I'm going to the UK?
It was never even a dream, to be real with you. It was crazy. Honestly, I never in my life even planned to even leave the country. It wasn't even part of, like...
Did you have to get a passport just to take this gig?
Yeah.
And did that hold you up?
No, let me tell you the story. That's not even the story. This is crazy.
Yeah, these are the good stories. This is the stuff. Because I'm thinking of logistics. Lisa is in her logistics mode. She's thinking about when she was an agent and a girl would come to the agency and somebody wanted to send her somewhere right away. I was like, how many forms of ID do you have? Do you have a passport? Do you have a backup California ID in case you lose your driver's license? You look irresponsible.
I didn't have anything. I feel like I lost everything.
Okay, so passport?
I ended up getting a passport. Like I said, I was still in college and everything. But at the time, I never in my life imagined, like, yo, you're going to leave the country. It just didn't, it wasn't something that you thought of. So at the time, I'm like, I want to say around October, I ended up meeting this chick in high school, or in college, around October. She was here for like a year. She's from London. So I ended up meeting this girl. I ended up talking to her. We ended up in a relationship. And then she ended up inviting me to London. I kept thinking in my mind, like, once again, I have no passport. I'm not going out of the country. You know what I mean? 3-4 months under her asking me, I'm still like, it just didn't seem real. So the last month, I ended up like, man, how can I really capitalize on just like getting to London? You know what I mean? How can I capitalize on being out there rather than just being out there to see some chick or whatever? And I remember hitting up, I got on this Westwood's website and I sent them an email. They ended up emailing me back. And I was
nice.
It was crazy though.
How amazing.
I sent it out.
But wait a minute. I like the fact that the girl was kind of a little bit of the motivator because you still have to be, you're still a guy.
Yeah.
And it's always the woman that brings the inspiration. She sprinkled the seeds of inspiration.
I mean...
Listen, if you knew you were going to go over there and you already had a booty call, how could you say no to that? You're like, I'm going to get some work done. Don't worry, people. I already have a girl in London. Don't worry. I didn't just fly here for her. But you know what? Now that we neighbors for a couple of days, she'll come to my hotel.
You know what I'm saying? I was
She's
just like...
here.
That's what my originally, you know what I'm saying? I was going there for that.
Did you see her when you got there?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up being, I was with this chick for like 2 years. So it ended up being
a
like,
relationship.
Yeah.
I love this.
It ended up being, it was so crazy because like when she kept asking me to go, we're still in school. It's like, I'm not really going to you know what I mean? And then a month of, it's like, yo, it got realistic. Like, yo, you going to see this girl again or you're never going to see her again because she's only here for a year. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So when I thought like going out there, I went out there and it was literally the first day as soon as I got out there and I was in like Norwich, which is like 5 hours away. Got on my internet and I was just like, how can I really capitalize off of being out here? I'm like, I know I didn't just come out here to see a female, even though that's what I should have been going out there for.
Yeah.
I'm just business. This is how I am, since how I think.
You know what? If it's good sex, you got to travel for it sometimes.
Yo, it was
I support
great.
that.
The outcome was just
So when you emailed them and they responded back to you, what were the chances like that you thought they would respond?
Well, the thing is, I didn't really think they were going to respond. Like, honestly, I hit him up Westwood. I'm trying to get a mixtape host. I'm thinking he's going to say like $1,000, $2,000. They're like, we don't do mixtape hosts. The email was just like a short, like no.
Okay.
It was just like, I was like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Then where'd it go?
So I took a chance. I was like, I'm going to just pitch myself to him. Like, pitch like a paragraph or two, you know what I'm saying, to myself. Like, who I am, where I'm from, what I've done.
Like a nice bio that you would have on Tinder or something.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm a stud. I'm super cute. I make great music.
I made it interesting, you know what I mean?
I've seen your writing. I know you do.
It's always.
Yeah.
So I pitched it, and then honestly, I thought it was done. You know what I'm saying? Days go by. I was out there for like a couple weeks. I want to say 15 to 16 days later, I got an email, and they're like, yo, what's your artist name again? I sent it to them. And 2 days later, they emailed me back, and they're like, if you're ever in London, we want you to come in for an interview and a freestyle. And I'm sitting here. At the time, I'm like, oh, shit. And I remember my girlfriend tweeted like Ponce is jumping up and down in the house because he just got an interview. But it was such a big interview, and I knew how big of an interview it was.
Sure.
It was just like 99% of these artists in the UK would die to have this interview that I just got. 99% of the artists in the US would die to have this interview that I just got. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of just...
And that really got you an understanding, too, probably meeting them and getting a better understanding of the business of what it all took. Because you still decided that no matter what you did, you wanted to have complete control of your music because you write your own music. You wanted to have complete your own control of your style, not just your music style, but your actual fashion style. And you also produce and direct your own music videos. So these are all things that you've kept to yourself, but you did have a great learning experience to teach you.
And it was dope meeting him because, like I said, at Westwood, he ended up inviting me back a second time. And then, like, now I just dropped the mixtape with him. And then originally, like I said...
What's the name of that mixtape?
It's called The Yellow Tape.
And where can we find this Yellow Tape?
The Yellow Tape is SoundCloud and... It's mostly SoundCloud. It's all over SoundCloud.
And it's on your site as well, right?
Yeah,
the link to it's on your site. Okay, all right.
So
the relationship has built and it's solid. I love it.
Like I said, I just got a host from him that I asked for 3 years ago, and they got noted. You know what I mean? Now I have 2 sessions with him plus. So it was dope meeting him and him being able to say like he's never had a.
Have you gone back recently, or did he come here?
I'm trying to go. I'm ready to go back out there. I'm trying to go out there and do like a tour or something. I wanted.
Why not?
I think it'd be just so dope. Recently working.
Who was your music inspiration?
J. Cole. I mean, alive, J. Cole, hands down.
Okay.
I'm saying gone.
This shows how much younger you are than me, man. Wow.
I mean,
you're 26, right?
Yeah.
44. Like, listen, J. Cole was like yesterday to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up with the Beastie Boys. Okay.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I grew up with Biggie and Tupac. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so when I hear certain things, like I can remember my teen years, like. I was heavy into Usher, I'm not going to lie. Like, I went through a hard Usher phase.
Usher killed the game, though. Usher, like, even...
And he was so sexy.
He did it
you know what I mean? He danced. Like, he just did it all. So, but I get it. I like J. Cole, but it just... J.
Cole is like my, like growing... Like, my all the time is like pop. You know what I'm saying? I'm 100% pop. J. Cole just living, he reminds me so much of Pop. The way he, like... The things he does and what he speaks about, and then, like, how real his music is. And then on top of that, his favorite artist is Pop. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get it.
It's just like TV. It's like, listen, here's an example. When Pokemon just happened, right? I didn't know about Pokemon. Like, I remember I thought there was a Pokemon movie, right? Or something. But when I saw the images, I'm like, I remember that from something. But I was older when that happened, so it wasn't part of my life. But like my young friends, my girlfriends that are like 21 to 23,
they're hip to Pokemon.
They're hip to Pokemon because that was their prime target age. Like, to me, I'm just like, can you explain this to me? Because I don't really know much about it. So yeah, a generation TV is different, but like it's funny. I've met a lot of younger people that still watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, I feel like there's
a lot of people.
Yeah,
that show has stayed from like generation to generation. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
a family show now.
And think about how much older he is now than in that show. Like, it's just random. Like,
it's crazy because I don't know. I forget who I was talking to, but they were talking about like his story and how he basically almost went bankrupt or whatever before he got that show, went up with a rap, and to see how he bounced from literally almost being. You know what I mean? Wiped out to...
It's all about being adaptable. You know what I mean? He was adaptable enough to understand the trade of the art of being a good entertainer. Yeah. And he was able to parlay that from music to acting. And he was able to have, a great camera presence. He's got strong energy. He's got everything it takes to be a star at no matter what he did. You know what I mean? Like, he just has that thing.
There's no bad... It's that thing. Exactly. There's no bad work put out. It's all quality, just like...
Good stuff, And, so let me ask you this. So far in your travels, you and I have shared stories. The club business is quite a hustle. I can relate more than anybody. Ponce and I also talk a lot about social media and different things that we're doing. Like, everybody, I just showed him Hootsuite. Like, so we talk a lot of business. We bounce things off of each other. I see that when you go out on the road, there's certain things you love. Like, I never loved staying in shitty hotels, right? Nobody loves that. But there's just certain moments when you are an entertainer that are just like that magic moment that when you feel it, sometimes it can be towards the end of a tour and you just have a great show and you don't want the tour to end. Sometimes it can be if you're going and just doing one show, you just get a taste of it. But what is your favorite moment as an entertainer? Would it be when you're looking around and seeing everybody moving to your music? Would it be the meet and greet aspect of it? What kind of interaction really inspires you to do more?
I love performing. Honestly, I love performing more than anything. Once I'm on stage, it's just like
it's the stage then.
Yeah, the stage. I think that is like a huge aspect of it. But also like I'm like real deep with my fans also. So it's like the same way I inspire hella people, it's like hella people inspire me too. You know what I'm saying? Because like I go out and we do these meet and greets that are actually we're gonna release a whole lot of them probably this month and next month.
I used to like to video my meet and greets. Have random conversations with people.
The best thing is like they're meet and greets, but I had to do like a marketable way, so it's called Puffin' with Ponce. Okay. So it's like these people, I'll go to like Texas or wherever, and these people will drive out 2 hours and they'll bring their own smoke so they can sit here and smoke with me for 10, 15 minutes.
This is amazing.
And it's just like we just talk.
Puffing with
Ponce. And it's that simple.
Whoa. So you are listening to Ponce de Leon. We're going to give you all of his information again and continue the interview. I just want to remind you that you're listening to the Lisa Ann Show at the TheStashed Network. I have a guest, and we are going right back to this topic, because I think it's amazing. Because your name works with it so well. Perfect. Puff with Lisa wouldn't have the same, Puff with Lisa Ann, but Puff with Ponce.
It was literally like I was in Texas one day.
Like I can see a logo. Like it's just beautiful.
It's
How many people did you get to smoke with?
Well, we have 10 videos. We have at least 10 videos that are already like mixed down. And
so how many? So you did 10 locations?
Yeah, it was like people. Once we start tweeting out, because at first we were doing to do a meet and greet, and I was at like a IHOP, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna do a meet and greet at IHOP.
But you can't smoke weed in the IHOP.
Exactly. Then I was like, yo, I was like, now that
the Puff and Ponce isn't gonna work in the IHOP. I mean, the IHOP is great for let's go have unlimited pancakes with Ponce after we puff, but not the Puff and Puff. Okay.
So first we started. I had the first person meet me, and we were gonna actually meet at a location and drive around. And then I was like, all right, well, I had honestly, I think like 5 people met me at the same time. There were people driving from all types of places. And
you don't want to be caught in an area where you're not familiar with all the driving laws.
And the thing was, it was like Plano, Texas, and everyone's like, yo, the cops up here. Like, nah.
No, I've had them knock on my hotel door, like, with dogs.
Yeah, that's exactly how they said they were. And I didn't.
And it's just my G-Pen in a hotel, and they smell that shit and call the police. And I'm like, it's not that serious, everybody. It's not that serious.
Like, is it that real?
It's that real. It's that real there.
So we ended up...
Puff and Ponce is a great concept, and it's really
It got real simple, too, because it was like, at first we were going to drive around, then it was like Puffin' with Ponce. So instead of driving around, because they kept talking about the cops, it was like, we'll find a spot and hotbox the car. So everywhere we went, it was like these new people would come up, we'd get in their car, we'd film it,
hotbox the car. Hilarious.
10 minutes or whatever.
This is amazing. Is there a website for this?
It's all going to be up on PonceDeLeon.com.
Okay, everybody. This is all going to be up on PonceDeLeon.com. I love this concept. Yeah. So, a little story about me that everyone will enjoy. For those of you who did not read my book, and I catch you all the time. So people tell me they read my book, and I tell a story to them, and they're like, that's a great story. I'm like, it was in my book, fucktard. But, here's a good one. My first 2 years on the road, when you're new, you can't get people aren't buying you flights. They're not getting you good hotels. They're saying to you like this, we'll give you a $350 travel allowance on top of your pay, and you'll make it work. And what do? You fucking get in the car, you book a room for yourself for $19.99 at the shittiest Motel 6, okay? And you're on the road. Because at that point in time, and I'll never forget what this felt like, because I found some old photos when I was putting my book together. I'll never forget how proud I was. I knew that one day I would earn something better, but I didn't hate my life living that struggle, because at that time I was so happy to have the gigs.
It's so real.
I was so happy to be able to do my thing.
I couldn't even tell you like the numerous times we stayed on the side of, like, literally we would drive from West Virginia to New York, do a show, and stay on the side of a McDonald's.
I've slept in my car by myself on the side of the freeway, so I had enough rest to drive some more.
It's so real, man.
And it's what you do.
That's the grind.
But I was lucky enough at that time to take a very good friend with me as my roadie. His name was Sledge, and he did most of the driving. We had a little Bronco, too, and we had all my stuff in the back. And back then, I was driving with a bong, and I always had a ton of weed on me, because you're not worried about flying. You can have as much weed on you as you want. When you're driving, you just got to wrap it up tight. You know what I mean? I was tons of fabric softener after all that shit,
Real good.
So I traveled with a 4-foot bong named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh,
and
God.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, the beauty of staying in the shitty fucking $19.99 hotels, Nobody fucks with you for smoking weed.
Nobody cares.
There's people selling crack in the parking lot. Your weed is not a problem. As a matter of fact, the whole place smells like weed. So there's this weird trade-off, right? Once you're staying at the Westin, you're not rolling up with a bomb. And it's a whole different... You're not lighting flame in there and smoking out your room. You know what I mean? Because they are knocking on your door.
You already know what it is.
So, fuck the $300 fine. I just don't want the dogs coming to my door at that point, you know? But so... I traveled with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I remember leaving it with someone in San Francisco on the last booking where we were driving back, and then after that, I was going to be able to get my flight paid. So I was going to start traveling alone because I couldn't get 2 tickets paid, just 1. But it was our last trip, and I gave it to like a strip club DJ. It was like, you know, let this thing go down in history. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I would just drive with it seatbelt in the back seat because I was that young and that didn't care. Now I would be burying that thing underneath the suitcase.
In fact,
so that was my experience, and I would always bring people back and smoke everybody out. And Sledge didn't smoke, but he would clean all the weed for me, and he would put ice cubes in the bong, and he would light it for everybody because it's too tall for people to be holding their arm down there, you know. So it was quite it was blue plexiglass.
Oh yeah, it's cold.
A lot of fun with that thing, you know. Traveling with paraphernalia, that's just so
classic story.
So far, what has been your worst moment? Do you have any stories you want to tell that you won't get in trouble for telling? Would it be like the club did not look like the pictures on the website and you don't have to name the club? Because I always check out the clubs before I go there. And I'm like, whoa. Was this day one when this place was open and the floor didn't have holes in it yet and the bar didn't have like nails sticking out of it? You get there, even like...
I've definitely had that happen before. That's not fun.
Because you know the bathrooms aren't. It's like it's just those situations. There's so much shadiness that goes on in the club hustle, which is
especially until you're really really making money off of it. Before then, it's like they're just gonna like try to use and abuse however they can.
Of course,
it's crazy.
No one else has complained. You've done a couple gigs with Waka.
Waka's all our events are dope.
I see him a lot at the Sirius building in New York. It always blows me away how tall he is.
He's huge, yo.
Huge!
Like, he's huge.
I wonder if people don't recognize him because he is so huge sometimes because they don't expect him to be that tall.
Yeah, I don't really think people... Because honestly, until I started like being able to perform at these events and stuff with him, like, I don't think I realized myself how big he was. And then when you see him, especially when he's on stage, he's like 6... I swear he's like 6'4" and he's 6'5", and he's just huge.
He's just huge. And so when I'll be sitting in, we have a little studio on the corner, and with the great thing about where I sit is from that little window, I can see everybody walking into Hip Hop Nation Shade 45. Like all the great studios, you want to see who's visiting. So like during my show, I'm all eyes on the hallway. You know what I mean? I see a lot going down. And I always tap my co-host. I'm like, Adam. And he just looks at me. He's like, he is... Wow, that's huge. How'd you guys meet?
It's, you know what I'm saying? Actually, social media, man. He's seen one of my videos. He's seen this video called Django. He shouted it out randomly, and then went from like him randomly shouting out to a bunch of others. And then I went to Texas for South by Southwest. He hit me up. He was like, "Come through the show." I came through. Swisher was throwing a big show down there. I came through the show. He introduced me to Who Kid and Holiday and everybody. It went on with the show, and it went from literally from that one show in Texas to like 3-4 different shows down the road, and now it's like Texas. We're about to do another 2 shows next month. Texas keeps booking us together, so every time we go to Texas,
he must think you're good, yo.
Yeah, he shows hella love. We threw him an after party last time he came back to West Virginia. Like last minute, I just hit him up like, "Yo, come over here, man. We're gonna throw this party." So we threw a party at the club for him, so he came over there. It's like,
it's so great to know that there's people in every business, and especially the music business, which I see to be so cutthroat. But it's great to know that there's people reaching out their hand.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely reached out his hand to you. He's definitely extended. You enjoy working with him. You've had a successful relationship. He can take you places, you know?
Yeah.
And when you're with him, no one's going to fuck with you guys because he's so huge.
Yo, he's literally huge. And it's crazy because he really don't even have security with him. He has, like, his homies.
Which are smaller than him because that's why I was out in the hallway.
Yeah, and then him. And then just, like... But he's so real, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like... He doesn't really
chill.
have
The way his presence when I'm stalking him in the hallway. Yeah. We've walked by each other a couple times, but my thing is, working at Sirius, I don't think it's appropriate for me to approach people because they're supposed to be a guest of really my work. So I'll walk by and I'll say hello. There's certain artists that will start talking to me and I'll talk, but we just haven't had a chance that we've walked by each other in the hall, and I just look at him, and I always know of your connection with him, so I kind of want to say something. But if he's talking to somebody, I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm not going to wait, So I know it'll happen.
It'll happen.
I know he'll think, it'll happen, and he'll know we have this connection. So who else have you worked with that you felt really inspired you and has really been helpful to you? I know Jude from Shade 45 has been
crazy
magic.
Jude is and I told Jude, he reminds me of Westwood so much it's retarded. And he's such a big fan, which I didn't know he's a huge fan of Westwood.
Interesting.
So when he first met me, when we first started talking, he gave me his book, and the first thing he did is ask he's like, et cetera, Westwood. He wanted to get Westwood a book too, so I ended up hooking it up to the point where he was able to send Westwood a book too.
Nice.
Because obviously we have that connection, and ever since then it's me and Jude have just even more just grown.
And so you all know out there when we talk about Jude, we're talking Rude Jude from Shade 45. We were talking about his book, which is called Hyena. And if you want to fall into a book that is going to entertain you to a ridiculous extent, you won't put it down. I mean, my co-host, when he gave it to me, my co-host started reading on the train that night back from the city and couldn't stop reading. He's like, I'm just going to finish it because I can't not.
That was my exact story. I got on the plane to West Virginia, or to Pittsburgh. I got on the plane and I was just like, man, I'm going to read the first page. By the time I got off in Pittsburgh, the book was done. I think it was done 2 hours before the flight.
Yeah, so if you want a good book with a great dude, I would say definitely look into Hyena. You're listening to the Lisa Ann Show on the Stash Network, and I am joined, my passenger today, our guest, us chatting with you, Ponce de Leon. He's done a lot of great things, and it's been a pleasure getting to know him and having this connection with him for this period of time and watching you, really spread your wings a bit more with Waka, and you had a great freestyle session with Jude a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and where can they find that?
Eyes too. That's also on PonceDeLeon.com. Once again, it's on YouTube. You can find all the videos on YouTube at PonceDeLeon.com. It's PonceDeLeon.
And what was the difference? I mean, I know now Jude has his show on his own. He's solo. So you had the studio, which is you and him, and you just went in, huh?
Yeah, it was.
I watched it on Twitter.
Yeah, it's the perfect.
I watched it because it just popped up, and I was like, "Oh, what's he up to today?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna watch this." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" That I was reading all the comments. I mean, it's just people were just floored. I was like, "Yeah, that's Ponce. He's doing it, Pete."
Feedback. So that was good. You know what I mean? The good feedback was definitely dope, and being able to once again just Rude. It be me and him, Jude, 1-on-1. You know what I mean? It's almost more natural.
Yeah, you're comfortable.
I was late again for the interview. First off, to start it off.
Shit,
so it started off the interview him saying, "Late again, like something," and then it led into everything else.
Well, you know what? Let's go. Let's take this right here to this segment that we're sharing with you, and this segment is called Bad Habits. And let me ask you: is it a bad habit of yours to be late?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I give it a sometimes.
Okay, and is it poor planning on your part? Are you underestimating the power of Los Angeles traffic?
It's like a mix of that, and then.
Do you not look at Waze? You can check Waze before you go. That's going to tell you how bad you're fucking.
I put too many things on my mind at once, and then I just forget. I'm like, yo, I should have left an hour ago. And for some reason, I'll be thinking it's 20 minutes away. I'm like, nah, realistically, I'm in the valley, so it's going to be 40
an
minutes.
hour. I allow it. Listen, my rule of thumb is this, but because I had to drive to a lot of different locations in LA. Any drive that was normally 20 minutes, I tripled it. And I knew I needed an hour to get there. Now, if it was rush hour, I would 90-minute it, and I did things that really helped.
You low-key need to.
But I really love to have a good schedule, a realistic schedule for my day. I don't like to rush places. I don't want to be stressed about it because it just adds exhaustion to your day. And it takes away from, it's so hard to do an interview when you run in the door late, whereas if you get decompressed for 5-10 minutes, for me a half an hour, I can always be tweeting beforehand, I can always be doing something, but I'm a really obsessive time person. I love having good time management, and so logistically I plan things out. I'd rather over plan for time, but LA, it's so hard for the first couple of years you live here to understand that you just have to accept it's going to take an hour. So when you're planning your day and you're like, I'd like to do this, 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 and this, you can't do them all because you have to tell yourself, one of them has to be eliminated because I still need to allow 3 hours in my car for traffic. And what I always did was this. I always had a little cooler in my car. I always had frozen grapes, frozen blueberries, a banana, a coconut water, snacks, because it doesn't make traffic as brutal. And then I didn't have to eat at home. So it was saving me a little bit of time. I was multitasking. Sandwiches, you have no idea. So we would say that a bad habit of yours, Ponce.
Yeah, that would be a bad habit.
You say you're not timely.
I'm not. Yeah.
What other bad habits do you have?
I demolish my fingernails.
You bite your nails.
It's bad. Like my mom literally used to put hot sauce on when I was a kid, and I hated hot sauce, and I would just like suck the hell out of my fingernails.
Okay, let me just tell you what I tell people when they need to stop biting their nails. And I'm going to say this to everyone because thank you, my tweeters, for emailing me some good questions at TheLisaAnnShow@gmail. The topic was bad habits, and quite a few people had the bad habit of biting their nails. So what I tell people is this: if you actually look around at how disgusting everything is in the world, and that you're touching the same things as other people, like when I go to Target, and I touch that cart, and I'm just like, my hands are pretty much done. They cannot go near my face until I get to go home and wash. Like, every single thing grosses me out so much. If you really, really think about it.
I have I don't know. I use hand sanitizer a whole lot too.
I don't because I'm afraid of that. It actually I use the hand sanitizer wipes where you throw this little wipe away. They come individually wrapped, but I don't get the concept of hand sanitizer because you're putting a glob of something on your hands and then you're just rubbing it in. Where the fuck does it go? Now I have this shit on my hands? Like, I'm just not buying that. I just look at it like I'm putting something on and nothing's coming off. The strategy in my mind, like when it was invented, I was like, why is everybody believing in this? Where is that shit going? It's alcohol and it's hard for your own immune system, so it breaks you down. But I use the wipes because then you can actually see the dark shit come off on your skin.
Yeah, true.
But back to you, to everyone who was kind enough to send in a bad habit. We have a couple good ones we're going to read. All right, first of all, you all should know one of my worst habits. Are you ready? I don't put lids on properly. And it irritates the fuck out of me when I go to get my peanut butter and the lid wasn't put on right. Because you know what? I'm the only one that uses the peanut butter, so it's my fault. I spill a ton of water on myself at places like the gym. The last place where I want to draw attention to myself, and now I have this big streak of water down my shirt, okay? I spill water getting on the car because if I would just put the lid on properly when I picked it up a certain way, it wouldn't squirt out all over me. So the lids has always been my thing. And, even years ago when I was married, it was like a pet peeve of my ex-husband. So it hasn't gone away. I thought it would get better, but it didn't. So we have a lot of chewing my nails, but we have this one. I have a bad eating habit and I need to fix it. Please help me. I'm going to read all the emails first and then I'm going to give you guys a solution. Here's a good one. Another biting of the nails. So we have that. Oh, this was a good one. This guy says he's a very big fan of mine. He keeps watching my porn movies whole day and whole night. Night spelled N-I-T-E. After watching movies, I keep thinking about you and thinking marry you. In parentheses, the letter M, the word damn, the word serious, with another parentheses, which is actually not possible. I want to kiss you, see you, hug you, and all that. Actually, Lisa, I'm addicted to you. Kindly suggest to me what to do. Please reply my mail, I beg you. Well, I'm replying to your mail, Sandy. That's not a bad habit. That's an issue. So that's nothing I can call, but we're going to try. Syed says, I have a bad habit of watching and downloading about 1,000 videos of yours and emptying my pocket on the internet, but I love its spending. Well, for you, Syed, I'd like to say you're probably the one left person that's even buying porn on the internet. So you're doing everything right in my eyes because everybody else is stealing it. So I think you, my friend, have a very good habit. Okay, that's a good habit. I feel great about. Paul Doyle, who I adore, says, bad habits are when people think just because you did porn, I think he's talking about me, everybody, just because you did porn, it's okay for them to ask you for sex and not treat you with any respect. Paul, that was a panty dropper. That's what that email was, a total panty dropper. My friend says, my teacher showed me my worst habit today. I don't set high enough goals for my life. He says I have to reach for the stars. The reason I wanted to do habit is because one of the other things I want to talk about on my show, the Lisa Ann Show for TheStashed Media, is books. Because you all know that I've gotten this weird, freakish, so I've got this book thing going on where actually some people from my previous life tell me to stop reading because it's making me too smart and boring. Because I talk about books a lot. So now I have a venue, and the book is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I had to look up online how to pronounce his name because it's an interesting pronunciation. But look at The Power of Habit. And what this book is going to show you is all the habits that you all emailed me. I hope it helps with Ponce's time habit. We don't know that yet. We'll be the judge, okay?
I'm gonna read it.
You're gonna read it. Ponce and I today, we watched a YouTube video of this guy giving a book review, which we both thought was dope.
Definitely.
He was so good.
Definitely.
So, The Power of Habit. And it talks really about what triggers your habits, how you can create new, better habits, and that, not all habits are bad, and people equate the word habit with it's got to be a bad habit. You can create good habits, like making your bed every morning, like getting up at a certain time every morning. Whatever your good habits you want to be are going to help you trigger better habits. So I suggest to all of you who have habits, just learn how to control them, learn what trigger them, and look up the book, The Power of Habit, by Charles Duhigg. We are going to come back now to Ponce, and we're going to talk a little bit more. First thing I want to talk to you about is your upcoming events. Because I know I have listeners everywhere, and you might be naming a city that they live.
Upcoming events, we're starting off heading out to Dallas, back out to Dallas in about a week, and then Arizona.
And wait, Dallas will be with Waka?
Well, the second one, I'm going to go out to Dallas to meet with Riff Raff, actually.
Okay.
So that's this week. We're supposed to do a video shoot out there. He's actually on tour right now. So
okay.
We'll leave there, and then I'll go to Arizona for the interview I was telling you about.
Right, which is going to be a dope interview. I'm excited to see this.
Yeah. And then the 4th and the 7th next month, we'll bounce back with Waka. The 4th is
what are the name of the clubs you'll be at with Waka?
Well, the 4th is Texas Tech University. So
nice.
They're just
how big is the venue?
Their stuff is big. Their stuff is honestly like.
How much are those kids raging?
Retarded.
Right?
They literally
just raging. How many injuries are there?
Yeah.
How many people are taken out of the stretchers? At this age, that's what I think about. Like,
You're
I feel so
right,
bad
though.
because Snoop and Wiz have had a couple streaks of things happen. The other night, one of the banners broke and like a couple, 30 or 40 people got hurt. And then last night, these kids were raging so hard, 13 kids went down with alcohol poisoning. Like, listen, kids, you can have fun. Crazy. But once you reach the fun level and the funometer goes up, you're only going to get sick and miss out for the rest of the concert. The worst thing in the world would be to miss the rest of the concert.
And so many people have done that, and I'm just like, I don't understand. I got to turn up, but
drink water in between.
Yeah, you got to know when to
after 2 drinks, a bottle of water is really going to take you to the next level. You don't have to get, it's the binge drinking, it's a shot. So I can only imagine for you doing shows at colleges, you're just seeing college kids wilding out.
They just literally the one in Texas that we did with Walker. Like I said, he literally cracked the stage because he started inviting too many people up on the stage and it cracked. And literally Walker started falling into this. It was crazy. The way they set it up, they built this is the frats. They built this big old venue with this big old slide that's 20 feet into the air. There's people going down the slide into this pool. Fun. It was retarded. The stage was built.
This sounds like something out of a movie. I need to go to one of these.
Literally.
If there's enough security for me to help me just sit in the corner, I just want to be on stage with you guys.
They probably had a few security guards, not even real security guards. What they did, they charged $100 for dudes. So then it was free for girls. So it was me, Walker, the dudes from the frat, and then all girls.
Oh, that's great for you guys.
It was perfect. It was no drama, no BS. It was me, Walker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
so
chicks there.
Yeah.
Getting reckless. I love it.
Turn it all the way up.
So colleges, I can only imagine that's just crazy.
Yeah, always crazy.
Personal life. For you, you're from Virginia. You have quite a few siblings, and you have quite a few little nieces and nephews now, don't you?
Yeah.
How many total?
Well, 3 brothers. I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters, and then I have nieces and nephews.
So you miss going home.
Man.
Because the last time you were home, your brother had a baby, right?
Yeah, my brother. Yeah.
Yeah, they're their second. Was it their second?
Well, it's his. It's
his first and her second.
First, yeah, exactly.
Beautiful baby. So you get to stay home for a bit. When you were deciding that the UK wasn't going to be where you lived, and you were knowing you had to get out of Virginia to grow your career, what made you choose LA over, say, Atlanta, which is a hotbed for music as well, New York? I understand the expense there is insane, and then Miami. What made you choose LA? Were you just looking to be Hollywood, yeah?
I always...
You want to be swaggy
I mean, for me, it was
you're funny. What'd you do?
Oh, that sounds
great. You like blonde girls? You want to start surfing?
Yo, you
Body surfing?
Actually, all that sounds too much fun.
Okay, but you haven't done it yet.
I haven't done it. Need to get out and do some more.
What was the LA dream like?
To be honest with you, I was just honestly, I was born in California. I was born in Riverside, so it was already I wanted to come back.
Yeah.
But then, like how I said earlier, I kept on J. Cole being my favorite artist and everything. I remember on one of his older tapes when I was still in college, I always used to listen to it, and it was pretty much just how he got from being in this artist in North Carolina to going to New York to really building himself to finishing school to brand himself, then to getting signed. So he really literally tells his whole story. So I kind of just used that, was like, yo, after getting out of West Virginia, it was like I had to go to the next place. Where
that was like
I
your
really
blueprint.
That's exactly what it was.
For me, so you know, it was the show 90210, if you remember that show.
That's crazy.
Okay, watching that show made me want to live in California since I was a teenager.
See,
like that, the way they live, the lifestyle,
Yeah.
just the way it looked. Like you and I, Virginia and Pennsylvania has very similar weather.
Yeah.
There's wild storms. There's snow. You get it all there. You get everything except earthquakes. You get floods. You get storms. You get snow.
Everything.
And when I would watch 90210, the sky was just so constantly blue, and everybody looked like they were out and about.
And it shows you, like, it's crazy, because I say that all the time, like back home I say it all the time. It's like when you're somewhere where you get up every day and it looks so bright and just so, everything is positive from the time you wake up. You know what I mean?
It's so much easier to wake up in the morning in California because the sun wakes you up. You know, it's very seldom that it's too hot to have your windows closed. You have windows open, the air is coming in. It's beautiful here in the morning. And, like, I can remember my first year, I had this neighbor that used to smoke out on his porch. And every day I would walk outside of my apartment in Huntington and I'd say to him, "Oh, it's so nice out today." And he would just kind of very grumpily say to me, "It's nice here every day, Lisa." And it was like the same talk we had every morning for the first year. And it was like, I really appreciated it.
Because when we're coming from a place, when you're coming from the coast where you only really have, like, this is how I always looked at coming to California. I always looked at it like being in, like, West Virginia is just like, all right, I have maybe 4 months of a year that I can actually be outside grinding all out.
And the problem is you do so much, you don't get any work done in the summer there because you're not focused. You're like, you know what?
It's crazy.
Let's just hang out. Let's just go here. We would go camping. We would go to the shore. We would go here. And you're just like, and then it gets boring and dark again in the winter. I mean, that's what made me such a big sports fan. Was because the winter, you know, I'm watching basketball all the weekend. I'm watching football. You don't mind being inside when you could watch 12 straight hours of the NFL on Sunday. Right. You don't feel any guilt. Whereas in the summer, like, listen, when I first moved here, it was harder to sit still on a nice day indoors and watch football all day. I would feel a little guilt about it. You want to get out. You do things. I have rollerblades. I got a bike. You know, I'm like out and about. So it's just a different energy. And I just felt, this is where I got really inspired to try a lot of new things, to get more done. Like, it's not as much of a nighttime life here.
Day life, and like you said, like energy, man. It's just so real out here. It's like I honestly think more in California more than anywhere I've been, like, energy is just retarded. And it's easy to get anywhere you want to get from here. Like, LAX has flights everywhere, whereas when you're from a small town, you're always taking a layover. You're always having to drive an hour and a half drive to the airport. You got to get someone to pick you up an hour and a half. Like, I remember all of that. So, what's the master plan for you? Master plan? Honestly, I plan on everything for the rest of this year. I want to put these visuals out. I just want to really take over the internet to a point where, like, I know so many people. I'm already working with so many people. I want to do pretty much a platform to release this music, start touring, and then I want to go to the UK and do the same thing because I know all these same huge artists out there, you know what I mean, that are the same level, and it's like... And it's refreshing going to other countries, like we spoke about earlier in the show. It's just about how people treat you and the hotels and the service, and it's just like, oh, I loved traveling to other countries for work. So that's kind of the goal this year. You always think you'll always write, produce, and direct and do everything on your own? I mean, lately, I've got a lot of people have been showing me love, like a bunch of different... Honestly, from PRs and Rs, I've had a lot of people hit me up recently, and it's like I'm trying to accept the help, the right help. You know what I mean? Right. You got to filter through it. So once it's to the point where I don't have to, you know what I mean? It'll be appreciated. There's just certain things, like I always looked at it like I would break down the 5 to 10 elements that I was doing all myself, and I would prioritize them of like. One thing I knew I could never do is I could never hire a company to run my social media for me. Fact, because I like doing it myself, and here's the thing, I would still go on and read all their tweets, and I would hate them at the end of the day, and I'd be complaining about what words they were using, so it just wouldn't work. So I moved that to number one, like that's always going to stay on my plate. That's something I always want to be in control of. But there were like certain things that I could shift down and go,
when the time is right, I might have somebody editing my movies, like just to cut that. I not that I mind doing it, but just right.
Like,
and then I can focus more on my first pick, which is social media. So think like I am going to give Ponce the book, The Power of Habit. I will be making sure he reads it because he will have to give me a verbal book report. I want you all to read it because it's a great book and it helped me out so much. I will go back and read it again because it's one of those books that you don't just read it once. You learn from it. You feel great about it. Each time you go back, you'll pick up on something else that you're still doing or something that you want to improve. So we'll have him back so that you can hear his updates on what he learned. See if he's on time and he's breaking his habits. I will tell you right now, I am never going to get better at putting lids on. It is my hashtag bad habit. At 44, I would have gotten better at it by now. There are other things I've gotten better at, but that is just not one of them, so I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to worry about it, everybody. Every week, you're going to get to listen to more of this nonsense. I hope you have this time to kill in traffic. Like, whatever you do that you hate, make this part of it, because it won't be as bad. Whether it's doing chores, just pop me on your iPhone, put your earbuds in. Let's be together.
Make the day much better.
You know, you hate work. And you don't want to listen to the people that are talking to you all day, just play it. As long as you're not like a telemarketer or somebody has to be on the phone all the time, because I really don't think that'll work. So, for me, what's next? Next, on Wednesday, August 17th, you can watch me in a live fantasy football draft at Rock and Riley's on 35th Street, the Rooftop Bar. For more information, go to rockandrileysnewyork.com. It's going to be a great live draft, and I'm getting really aggressive in this whole world I'm in right now with fantasy sports. Like, I'm starting to gank picks. I'm in my first slow draft. It's been going on for 2 weeks, whereas every day I make a pick or two. And I actually had the guy that drafts right next to me as a guest on my show Monday night because I knew I was going to pick before him. And I tried to get him to tell me who he was going to pick. He didn't tell me exactly, but he gave me enough information that I figured it out. And even though I didn't need an extra quarterback, I ganked that pick yesterday. And so we are already at war, and this is what it's like now for me. This is sadistic, it's fun. I love that in fantasy sports, smack talk and messing with each other is a really big part of it. It's really accepted and you embrace it, and it's just so fun. So that's where I get that out. Same weekend. Friday, August the 19th, I'll be rocking the kids. I love hosting at teen clubs like in Long Island by the schools. It's always fun teen clubs, kind of my demographic. Every one of them, has been watching me on their phone, having their way since they were 12 years old. So by 19, they see me in person. It's like, oh my God, she's like a rare Pokemon. So I will be at Club Emporium in Long Island, Friday, August the 19th. I'll be taking pictures with you. Do you know why? Because that is an appropriate place for us to get a picture together. Not the Whole Foods, not the Starbucks, not the gym, not the airport. The event on the 19th at Club Emporium. If you want more information, you can go to theemporiumnewyork.com. You can call it 631-627-8787. I am going to thank my boy Austin Mills for making me such lovely intro music. I like it so much. And Kaz, way to hook shit up, Kaz just get me this gig. Let me write some weekly stuff for TheStashed.com. Throwing a podcast my way. I am starting to feel super important because of Cass and TheStashed. So make sure you listen to all the podcasts. Some really great stuff for you up there on TheStashed Media. Again, thank you for joining me at The Lisa Ann Show. You can follow Ponce at Ponce de Leon. I will be tweeting it so you don't have to spell it. All you have to do is click on it. I will make sure I have you covered. I know it's a tricky one. It makes you work at it. How many of you want to put an E on my name? How many of you? So, I will make sure I handle this. You will get all the information. I want you to listen to and enjoy his music. And just know he's an all-around incredible person. And that's what really counts because we all just want to be around good people. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and you will hear more of me next week.